But the culture is always, always also made of the human beings.
Yes. And then the women suffers because we don't educate our women. That's the main key point. Empowerment is, do you give them that education to be independent, to be self-sufficient? We teach them to be dependent on their men.
And that's more towards how mothers are bringing up their daughters, not the fathers actually. Just, I will give you. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to answer that because it's not culture, because it happens in every community in Canada. It doesn't matter. It affects educated women. It affects rich, poor, everybody. So and those girls are educated. So it's not culture because it happens to everybody, men in general, because many men do not.
And let me ask
It's control. It's control over another. It's the problem that is something wrong with that man. A man that picks up, that tries to control another human being, there's something wrong with that man.
So let's get others people take on it one by one. I come to all of you. Let me just. What's your name?
My name is Malik. Yeah, Malik Jawad. The thing is actually what we see in every culture. There is lack of education. I've been to Malaysia. I saw one room like this. I saw one teacher like Huria is here, and one side women are, other side men are, and she was or he was teaching them. And I was just a visitor there. I asked somebody, "What is this class for?" They said, "This is class for marriage. People who are ready to marry, they come to this class. They attend this class for 1 month. They teach them what is marriage, what is all about, how it should be, what are the characteristics of, what are the needs are, what are the requirements are, why should do that, when, whose responsibilities are what, whose rights are what." Then they put on the chart what is important in the marriage, and then they give the choice to the ladies, give the choice to the men, that you are free to choose your partner. That's the way I think should be. There should be education class for the candidates, for the applicants, and they should come and learn what they are going into, what they are heading into, what is their future, what are the responsibilities having kids, why they wanna marry. Some in our culture, people say, "Oh, my son is 22-year-old, let him get married." He is making money or not? He knows what is marriage is or not? Okay, we need another son, let's get him married. That's not the way it should be. So, thing is only education is very, very important. If there is no education with women or men, actually you cannot blame either men or women. In this culture, this is the most developed culture of the world, like in education wise, worldly education, financial education, but there is no marriage education. That's why the biggest divorce ratio is in this culture, not in back home. Maybe you can blame there are problems, but the problems are different kinds. But separated life, separated women, divorce ratio, mostly children without their father name, they are in this culture. Sorry to say that. Yeah. Thank you.
So let's go by one because I come to you because there are other people at the back. I take your question. I want to like Mark, if you want to. Let them come over here. I will go all of you, and we will all get the chance. But let me. Yes, that's what I have to do the panel discussion like, but I think we will be doing like this. Come here, Mark. So I will be asking the question from the person who is there who is expert, like he is for the awareness and he is for the limiting beliefs. So, and then Marlon. So we do that way. I have decided the other way, but
So this just kind of ties into our discussion.
Yes.
So I think,
I have decided we will be sitting.
Yeah.
And then we will be doing, but I think if this is the way everybody comfortable, let's do it.
so it's a quick point of
And I'll be
view.
asking questions.
No problem. So it's a quick point I wanted to make in regards to all of this. I don't believe as a man, putting your hand on a woman, it's not even something you fathom. So it's not even, it's not. No, but I can't find ways to justify anything because there's no justifies to the means to an end of.
The theme of this program is not like men are hitting women.
No.
It's not that. And we're talking about in the broader sense.
Yeah, just the
what
broader
violence
sense.
is and what-
So, what I'm trying to bring to the table here for the forefront that has not actually been discussed, and I think it's easily forgotten. I believe one of the biggest challenges with any visible minority that is in our country and coming from somewhere that they are comfortable and know and they've left to come and start their life is the ability to assimilate on top of the mental health challenges that come with that. There is an increase of mental health challenges that, quote unquote, I don't even like to use the word, but newcomers, they're not even prepared for. So they come here thinking the door is open, we're welcoming, we'll help you, we'll support you, put this smile on your face and say, it's okay. But the truth is, you end up going out and you are experiencing winter and you're trying to figure out, where do I get these clothes from? Where do I buy this stuff from? Where do I get all these things that I need to survive? And then you try to figure out, where do I get this money from to help pay these expensive bills? An apartment, not even talking about a home. Look at the people that are on like downtown Toronto now who are out of an apartment. And most of the people that they're showing on the news are visible minorities. Is that a coincidence or is that reality? That's a reality. And what we're forgetting is that abuse is triggered from a number of different things. It's not just one thing. There could be the fact that a little boy who grew up was abused by an uncle that could not talk about it because of cultural issues. They have to hide behind it. Then when they come to Canada and they see they have this freedom, all of a sudden they just let loose. They let loose on the woman. I'm not saying it's right though. I'm just saying they just let loose. And however they can get away with it, they do it. But I believe there's a lot of underlying mental health challenges that trigger an abusive individual. There is a significant rate of it. Depression, assimilation leading to feeling not worthy, feeling worthless, leaving probably a home where you were probably well off, and now you're coming here making minimum wage of $25,000. That does something to somebody's so-called ego and pride. It triggers them because they don't see, where can I leave what I've just left? That was seen as wealthy or well off, and I'm coming to this, living in this 2x2 apartment. Cockroaches everywhere. Have no money. Have to go on food stamps. Have to quote unquote drive a cab. The stereotypical view. And then you have to deal with the stereotypes day in and day out. It is a challenge. These things don't just happen. Every time I do a talk, I always let people know, if you're looking to trigger someone, it's like a pop can. If I shake it up and I ask you to open it, what happens? That's what happens when women get abused. It's the exact same thing. It's a pop can just explodes. And then people wonder, where did this come from? I didn't even expect to be hit like that. Or I didn't expect him to do that. And yet it's a trigger, a domino effect. So what we have to do, I think, as a country, I don't think it's even a culture. I think it's a country. If people who are coming here for an opportunity, we can't just let them come in with just saying, here's the opportunity, take it. We've got to educate them from the level of what to be ready for. What do we need in place to ensure a good quality of life as I assimilate to a culture? Right? Because as a visible minority, a white person's not going to understand what it's like to be me. They won't. Right? So I'm not going to play this trick and say, well, we all love each other and this is what it is. No, because when we get out there, that love is gone. We cannot fool ourselves anymore. So what we got to do is educate ourselves on who we are. Figure out where we're rooted in. What are some of our barriers? What are some of our challenges before we get ourselves in those positions where we get so overwhelmed and it triggers?
I have a question for you, and that's especially because I mentioned self-awareness, and that's what Haley talked about, and you talk about having courses and education and knowledge. I really believe there should be some courses before entering a serious relationship, so you know what it is, you know yourself what you are, and you know what our other person's expectations are before you ending up this with all this mess. So I want to ask you what the self-awareness is, and if you can. So we're starting our panel discussion, so we will be involving all of you, but if I will be asking everyone, then I don't believe we will be ending tonight. So I will be giving time, but if you could just talk a little bit, introduce yourself.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. No problem. So my name is Mark Dunn. I'm a self-awareness speaker. I run workshops for youth, adults, corporations on self-awareness because as a person who's worked in the field of mental health for over 12 years and I was a teacher for 5 years, I've had a chance to see how these things get played out. And I think the biggest thing that I took away from it is people's lack of knowledge of who they are. So I've developed content on a daily basis where I actually post 3-4 times a day on self-awareness content to get the attention that's needed for people to actually wake up. So that's what I do and that's who I am. So with the question, what is self-awareness? It's my humble opinion that I've developed my own way of looking at self-awareness as the knowledge of who you are away from what the external world sees you as who you are. So we are all born into this world with a certain makeup as we've developed. And sometimes that makeup can be distorted. Sometimes that makeup could get lost. And what I believe we need to do is go back to those roots of who you are, from principles, values, all the things that make you who you are without allowing the external world to define your value. To not allow labels, titles, income, status to define you. Because once you let the external world get to you, you've lost. You're at the mercy of them. So my job is to really get people to understand that self-awareness is something that comes from within, and it starts with you.
My name is Aslan Merkalami. I'm a success coach. I coach people to have better life in different areas of their life, mainly business, but I also coach people in their marriages. Sometimes it happens that the problem they're facing in their business, it relates to their marriage or their relationship for that matter. I have a slightly different take on this, and I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this. It's really not the culture. It's really not the anything else really was here. It's not upbringing, it's not... The person that was abused at home or was brought up in the abusive home, he had a pigeon or a little bird, and he really loved that bird. Would he hurt the bird? You all agree that if there was love, there would be no abuse. So what's really happening here? The relationships that I've worked with that has been unsuccessful, I discovered that there's no love. And if there's no love, then what is it that brings two people together? I discovered that is really need. I need somebody. Even Huria said, a man needs a woman and a woman needs a man. And that's the base of every problem man and woman have. So if I don't have love for my wife, I can only have one kind of relationship, and that's abusive. So if I have a woman in my life and I don't have love for her and it's all need, what's stopping me from loving her? What is really stopping me from loving my woman? Or no, not really that. It's because there's a primary love that we have. Almost every single couple that I worked with that have turned around their life and they become true lovers, they had a crush or some sort of relationship. Crush or some sort of relationship.
Check 1, 2.
Are you okay? Yeah. On their youth and when they were very young. They never really had any space for another human being. They were stuck. And then when that was removed, now they were having an open space to love. And to me, the secret is really lying in this. A marriage without love is doomed, right from the beginning. And what's love? I don't remember his name, but as a rabbi, speaks on love. I love this man. He's a Jewish rabbi, and I'm by birth Muslim, and I follow him everywhere. What he's saying is this. He says, somebody went and asked a guy who was sitting and eating fish. And he said, why are you eating fish? He says, because I love fish and I eat them. He says, oh, you love fish, so you killed him and you put him on the table, cooked him, and now you're eating him. And he says, many of our loves in our lives is really fish love. We are going into a relationship to take away something. And if you do that, it's done. This game was over before even begun. Huria said she married this man because he was from Canada. There was a need that was met. And the minute that need was met and was finished over, the guy had to go. He never had a chance. And I can almost attest to the other side, he had the same thing. So it's not cultural.
No, that's not entirely true.
I'm sure there's a whole
that
bunch
was
of
something I was happy for, but my husband was truly my parents' choice. And I have met him first time, my wedding night was the first day I have seen him. And that's the way our belief system is in the culture. Like, love will come afterwards when you are married with someone.
Well, if it's going to come afterwards, it's never going to come.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the marriage is, and that's
so
even.
I think I'm going to stop here because I don't want to create controversy. But what I do, it works, and I've done it with at least a couple of hundred couples, and they all, they make love all night long, and they make breakfast for each other in the end. So that's what counts.
Asin, I, out of love, I have to disagree with you because there are generational factors that program a mind to be away. Genetic, environmental. My father loves my mother, but he was exposed to a year of electric shock therapy to his brain when he was 18, and he's broken. And so it's not that he doesn't love my mother or us as to why he was abusive. He has breaks within him. And an addict who is addicted to cocaine, it's not that they don't love their family, they're not a step ahead of their disease. So I would really strongly challenge in saying that abuse is a function of non-love. There are a lot of people who love others and hurt those they love in a way where they are stuck in the illness of anger, the illness of dysfunction, the generational trap of patterning and behavior. And I think Hisham really said it beautifully, and so did Huria. Why Hisham doesn't hit his wife and why I won't be an abused wife is we were both disgusted by that. Like, I was disgusted by what my father did and what my mother took. I made a vow as a 9-year-old child I would never. Huria's mother was not disgusted by the abuse she received, but as a child, you were disgusted to see it. You were not going to stay in a life with it. So there's a spark that lights inside whichever generation we're in to say it's not okay. Whereas my ex-husband, he was raised by a violent alcoholic who beat his mother 29 days out of 30. And he insisted on naming our son after him. And he went to his grave every Sunday. And he idolized that man. He was not disgusted by him. Therefore, he became him. So I think that we have to challenge. Non-love is not always the reason why abuse is present. And abuse at the hands of somebody who chooses to be abusive is one way we look at it. But also in the side of trauma, when I think of my rapist, I don't know who he was. He's not identifiable to me. I can only imagine the inhumane things that must have been done to him to give him those monstrous abilities, those kinds of monstrous choices. And I think that in any abuser, there's also victimhood.
I absolutely agree with you, actually. And I...
Let me just, come to you. Let me just...
Oh, and...
Just to round out the panel discussion, we wanted to make introductions of everybody at the panel. These two have made introductions. We've heard from you here, but please tell us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So my name's Haley Patry. I am the founder of The Lifted Lid, a coaching institute. I'm a mom of 3 and happily married, survivor of lots. I function under 3 titles as a coach. I'm a true happiness coach, a marriage mentor, and an offline success trainer. And my passion is to spend 9 hours with people and give them what 3 years or more of traditional therapy couldn't. I believe that there are lots of ethical shortcuts to our recovery, to our happiness. I believe in love after divorce. I believe in happiness after depression. I believe in sexuality and sensuality after sexual violence. And I really dedicate my life to showing people that have been exposed to any part of the buffet of trauma that you really can make an incredible life. I'm the author of 3 existing #1 international best-selling books. I am in the works on book 4 and 5. I've been blessed through my challenges to speak for over 1 million people, but my favorite thing to do is hug my kids, snuggle with my husband, get a client to see through their tears, watch a friend rise up, just to see people win in life no matter what's happened, and especially because of what's happened before.
So, let me, Aslan introduce himself because you just sit down and
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, as I said, my name is Aslan Mekalami, and I'm a coach. I'm an author of 2 books. Basically, I coach people through their traumatic past into a very successful future in different fields. And I really want to answer to you, Haley, because I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. And the love I'm speaking is really the very first love really we have to experience is for ourselves. And if you have this belief that no one loves me, no one cares about me, no one wants me, think about it. Even some of these faces is changing as I'm saying these things. Some of you guys might even feel it. That's the love I'm talking about. If there is no love, there is no relationship. You're going into a relationship looking for love, you're doomed. The only thing you can take into a relationship is love, and the loved one is really for you. Once you love yourself, you have something to share. So you have something that you can build on. And then in that moment, there is no abuse. There can't be any abuse. You can come from a broken family. You can come from the worst culture in the world. But if you have the love in you, you can share it. Thank you so much, Haley, for bringing it.
So Mark,
Yes.
like we're talking about self-love, is it how it's related to self-love and self-awareness, how this goes together?
Well, we live in a culture where I can honestly say we like to play on words to evoke emotion. And sometimes when we play on words to evoke emotion, we actually take people for granted and take advantage of them on those words. With the whole thing of self-awareness and self-love, I think what we have to come to grips with is realizing that if life hasn't taken us out, meaning we haven't died, meaning we're not in the hospital taking our last breath in 2 seconds, somebody's doing that right now and somewhere in the world. If we're not in jail, then we have value. My biggest thing is always encouraging young folks, people of any age, race, gender, that they have value because you're alive, and that's the most significant thing to fight any battle, right? Because in all fairness, words have the power to change, go out on faith and be able to say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and whatever happens, I'm going to be okay with it because I'm not going to put myself in any danger. I'm just trying something to see myself be better. Because there's only 2 things you can do. You can be better or you can be bitter. Self-awareness helps you make a decision there, and that's a personal choice. That's not going to come from medicine. That's not going to come from sitting with someone in a room talking about your feelings. It literally comes from you first before you go out and get those supports. There's nothing wrong with those supports, but those supports won't condition you to say, I love myself. It starts with you, then the help comes in, right? Because we live in a culture where we're in a Band-Aid solution. We want things to be done now, and that's just fake. That's not real. So I like to always use my self-awareness topics to help people see the real side of things. Then they can work towards those things that we have in our culture that say it's okay for us to get the help, to talk to someone, to take this medication, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so we wrap it up, this our discussion session, and sure. So So yeah, we go to the questions, and then we have 2 presentation stills coming up, so I don't want to miss that. So what's your question?
My question is, I'm father of 4, 3 boys and a girl, and I almost 20 years marriage. I always struggle in understanding between sacrifice, care, understanding with partner, and believe in you are in love with. Believe in the one you love in love with. Look like to me that is kind of total submission to somebody that you love. Is my understanding true that I have to submit myself to somebody that I claim that I love you? That means I am submitting myself. I have to care. I have to sacrifice. And I have to understand. And I have to believe in what she is saying.
Can I answer that?
So who you want me to answer?
Yeah, who do you
Anybody
want?
can ask me, that is total
Who has like
submission
okay,
to
do
go
somebody
ahead.
that I claim that I love.
Yeah. You see, those questions will never evoke a real love because you say you have to, I have to submit. The true love is expansive, is not contractive. What you're saying is limiting, I must sacrifice. None of that is love. If you truly love somebody, you will be only doing act of service. You will only put them first. Your need doesn't even come to the equation. You're not even thinking about yourself. You're saying, I have to submit myself. That means I come first. I have to put myself aside. I got to put her first. That's already not love. We really have 3 kinds of love. The fish kind of love that you go to take. You want to catch a fish, kill him. Even this is a keeper or a good catch. You know, the word is in the community, in the vocabulary. Okay, that's really the worst kind of love you can ever experience. Is really a selfish love. There's second kind of love, is really a bartering type of love. Is a contractual. You sit across the table and you say, "Hey, I'll do this, but you got to do that." And there's a negotiation. There's a negotiation. This is slightly better, but it's basically prostitution. Excuse my language, really. When you think about it, if I get paid for what I do for you, I'm prostituting. The third kind of love, which is a very rare kind of love, but once you get into it, is enormously satisfying and is unbelievable, is the kind of love that you're doing this, not sacrificing, is your beloved. She comes first. You don't even exist in this. In the Persian poetry, Khayyam, Omar Khayyam, is the poem of love. And she writes, I am like a butterfly going around the candle, and the candle burns me to death, and that death is more beautiful than hundreds of life. Now that is true love. Okay? Now, if you really want to love, the only thing you can do is to love yourself first. There is no way. I cannot even comprehend even loving somebody else unless I can love myself unconditionally, without any hesitation. So that's what the work is. Really not loving others, loving you. That's the work. And when you have your love, then you can share it. Then it will be abundance.
Simply to give from your self-awareness. Yeah.
Yes. Let me just pick on that. I really appreciate you brought it up because
One of the pieces of the Holy Quran is,
yeah.
one who recognizes himself.
Yes. Let me pick it up from here. I've devised a system. It's called ACE, and the A stands for awareness. You cannot control anything that's out of your awareness, and unfortunately, our awareness is very, very low. We have 7 ± 2 awareness, where there is 2 million bits of information is going on inside of you. So you're only aware of 7 out of 2 million. So when you catch the awareness, that's when you can change. C stands for change, challenge and change. Really, you can only be aware, challenge, change, and then enroll and engage. Once you do these 3 steps, you can change anything. You can change all your limiting beliefs, you can change your culture, you can change anything. Change is easy. What we've been conditioned that the change is hard is a fallacy. Change is easy. We are changing every day. What you are today, you're not the same guy who was 5 years ago. 10 years ago, I had.
I think we've gone
10
far
years ago,
from
I had
the
hair.
question. I see my friend at the back is asking for a lady's weigh-in on this question. No, I don't think we have to submit to our love. I think that when we love someone wholly and unconditionally, we still are always at choice. So if a partner asks of another a request that feels unsafe, unreasonable, abusive, and unethical, or simply not doable with your level of overwhelm, your schedule, your own mental state, I don't think that relationships are a state of submittal to the other. I think that they are a choice. And when we are whole and complete, as my colleague shares, when our tank is full and we maintain our own fullness, there is a second tank to be filled even higher by our partner. And when love is flowing in both ways, and the tank of self-love is full, and the tank of marital or relational love is full, then when our partner asks us to shovel off the car or make the dinner or share our bodies sexually, it doesn't feel like submittal. It feels like choice, it feels like love, and it feels like service.
And just to quickly add to that, I was just going to say, sir, as well, one of the biggest things about self-awareness that I focus on, and as another component when it comes to relationships, is the idea of understanding what are your strengths that contribute to your marriage. Because the truth of the matter is, I can define love for me, but I will not say that that means the same for everybody. So what I do is I pull back in my own marriage, and I'll say to my wife, before we even got married, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Here's what I'm going to tell you, because you know what? Vulnerability as a man is a sign of strength than a weakness. And I can reduce some of the barriers and challenges by putting my ego and pride aside and focusing on character and integrity. No matter what happens, what you do in your home is your home. You can take examples of different things to see if it's going to fit or work. You're customizing what love means to you, though. There is no one in this world who can tell you how you define love is wrong. What you do is you take you and your wife and as a partner and you say, here are my strengths, here are my insufficiencies, how can we work together as a team? Right? Because the truth is, what else are you going to do? What's the other alternative? Is the other alternative to go through a ceremony? Is it to go through a ceremony, get rings on, and eat and party and have a good time, and then at the end of it say, oh, okay, I love you, we're good? Or is it to clearly understand and allow the journey of life and evolution to help you understand what love means to you?
I have only two sentences to define my love. Whenever I tried to win, I lost. Whenever I lost, I won.
But you know what, sir? You never lose when you have a love partner. You never lose. You never lose because you're always winning. Always winning.
We have a small joke with my marriage counseling clients. There is no winner or loser in love until you're in divorce court. So if you're staying married, you can either win or you can be happy. The whole energy of winning and losing in a marriage it's not the right institution to have the notion of winning and losing in. But in divorce court, there's definitely a winner and a loser, unfortunately.
And it takes work. It takes work.
I have to tell you that in divorce courts, everybody loses.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we were talking about.
Okay.
Divorce is never win-win. So,
Sorry, if I could just have your attention for a moment. Okay. If I could just have your attention for a moment, and you're right, lawyers always do win.
seat now.
Thank you so much.
We will, again, let's see how much time we have, because I have time till 10 o'clock. So we can get after this presentation to more questions and we can learn from each other more. So I know so many people want to be involved, but we have some restrictions here. We have to follow that. So
Okay.
So can you introduce Marlene? I
Yes.
want her to present now.
Yeah, I've been waiting all evening for this speaker. So if we're ready and we can have a little bit of quiet and take the conversations outside. Thank you. This brings us to our last speaker of the evening.
And then we will have some time. If you want to ask one-to-one from someone, you can do, or we will be doing some
Yes.
15-20 minutes discussion.
We'll have plenty of time to chat afterwards. But let's give some respect to our last speaker, who's arguably one of the best. Dr. Marlon Morris is the founder and program manager at Ontario College for Development Training. Dr. Morris's achievements are way too numerous to mention. But in a nutshell, she is a trained and qualified development. Thank you. She's a trained and qualified development policy and planning specialist, community engagement specialist, legislative reviewer and drafter, certified life coach, and a train the trainer of coaches and an educator. She has over 20 years of expertise working with various levels of government, advising governments and strengthening public sector institutions throughout the Caribbean and Guyana and South America. She is also recognized as a recognized international consultant with working experiences in the United Nations, World Bank, and European Union projects for Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. Dr. Morris is a United Nations Women on Women designated expert trainer and researcher into domestic violence against women and girls. That's unbelievable. So I'm privileged to even stand in the same room as this lady. Please welcome Dr. Marlon Morris.
Thank you so much. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Last but not least, I am sure. And I am sitting there and I'm seeing the room dwindle. And I'm saying, wow. Wow. I'm the last speaker. And I'm all about solutions. I have seen it and done it all. Women's development, both political, socio-cultural, economic. This is my platform. And it's really very important for me to have been honored by the United Nations Women. I am one of 34 women selected representing the Caribbean region. And I take this everywhere I go because it's not about the region, it's about making transformation change in the lives of women. And we have heard the stories over and over again. And as I'm writing, your story is my story, is our stories, okay? And therefore there is that commonality that binds us together as women. And as a women's development advocate, I've seen it all. Yes, and I'm a women's development coach as well. And it's not about development alone. It's about transformation. What makes it unique for me is I'm also an educator. So when I coach women, whether in groups or otherwise, I am going beyond just a coaching methodology. I am going beyond that to discover, help her to discover who she is without imposing what I think. The answer has to come from her. And I have a serious difficulty with many of us who call ourselves coaches. And I can say it. I have the authority to say it because I really want us to change what we do. Once you have discovered, it's important for you to help her to recognize who she is. And I do it for young people, men, women, you name it. But I'm speaking of women now. And that's where the training comes in. Because if you don't understand the psychology behind problems, the stress, everything that affects your life, how are you going to help? You're just going to listen to her? Say what she feels? Because in fact, she has to tell you how she feels. It has to come from deep inside her, not you. Then and only then can you help her to transform herself. I know that we don't have much time. When I came, I wanted to look at what I call woman, your inside job. Think about it. And I want to preface this by saying, I hear a lot of stories tonight. But fundamentally, we all have problems and issues despite the cultures. But we have forgotten one critical element: how our families nurture us and socialize us. Think about that. The education of our children starts in the home. And it doesn't matter what the culture is. If you don't have that important nurturing foundation where you can learn about family love and your parents don't react but respond to you, and there's a difference. We are then raising children that are not resilient. Think about it. And there are a lot of what I call intergenerational issues, going back to the great-great-grandfather that got handed down, unintentionally mostly, but it's because of the nurturing environment. And I always ask women, when you become pregnant, the first thing, what do you do when you touch your stomach? The first question, and it's not about the fathers, I'm coming to them too. You ask yourself, can I touch you, kid? How are you going to raise this child? Fundamental. How are you going to raise this child? Are you going to raise this child like your mother raised you? And if it wasn't your mother, like your grandmother raised you? Were you happy? Were you engaged? Were you abused verbally? Were you allowed to express yourself creatively? Knocking her pans in the kitchen? And then she tells you, shut up, you're making too much noise. When you could be a musical genius in the making? Think about it. Ask yourself that question. And fathers, are you prepared to breastfeed that child? And when I ask them that, they look at me, huh? Breastfeed? Yes, breastfeed. Because you see, breastfeeding is symbolic here. Yes, it's not the physical taking the breast out. It's being able to put your child to your breast as a father when he is young, months old, weeks old, so that he can learn the rhythm of your heart. Think about that rhythm. It's soothing. It's relaxing. It bonds you to your child. And yes, you don't have a breast. But you know what? It's right there. That's how you breastfeed. And in the middle of the night when he cries, you don't have your wife getting up to feed. She's tired. But you, at that time, build your bond of love. That's what it's about. So men, when they talk, we can't breastfeed, I said, yes, you can. Because the simple act of cradling that child to your breast, think about the music and the murmur of your heart, the gurgling of the blood running through your veins. Have you ever tried it, fathers? How it puts them to sleep? Even to lay them on your stomach, where they feel your warmth. That is nurturing. okay? And I had to say this because I hear a lot of speeches, and the fundamental thing is how we nurture and socialize our children. It has to begin from the home. You always hear people sing, and I am saying this, and it doesn't matter what culture you come from. It does not matter, really. And yes, this is not to recognize that in the East Indian culture and Eastern culture, they are different from our Western world in terms of the real family commitment and the strength of the family and fathers and so on, like Huria's experience. But I had a father who wanted me to excel, and I lived in the West. So different things happen, and we have to take responsibility for looking at our families, no matter where they are, because they're the first teachers of love. And you talk about love. It's not when we get to adulthood that we are seeking a partner and then we say, I must love him. And I know I talk about from the bedroom to the boardroom, but that's another thing, okay? It's about making sure that you transmit love to that child, no matter what culture you find yourself in. What does it look like? Because that's where you're beginning to build self-love, self-esteem, and helping them to understand human dignity and the value of who they are. And it has nothing to do with whether they're black, white, pink, or yellow. It's about the innate and inherent human rights that we are all imbued with by the divine creator that we don't even understand sometimes. We came with that inalienable right that gives us self-worth through human dignity and understanding that. Fundamental. And I've always said, if you're parents and you don't know this yet, the act of love will tell you you have to do the best for this child. You don't have to wait on teachers to do it. They're not interested anyway. They're about math, English, and arithmetic. Because we do not teach cultural relevant pedagogy in the schools even now to understand tolerance of each other. So we are not even going there. We have to begin to build what I call the parent-child partnership for resiliency and success. Okay? That's where the partnership starts. And you have to recognize that in that partnership, there's mother, there's father. And if there's no father, there's mother who sometimes acts as father. But you need to find a man outside, uncle, cousin, who you can trust. Because they will tell you it takes a village to raise a child. But remember that I've said this today. You have to know who the members of the village, that village, who are those members? They're all impacting many villages, impacting our children. The church, the school, the home, peer groups, society, schools, all of them are impacting our little ones. And so, they are growing them. And they're developing values of who they are. So when we sit and blame parents that they didn't do this for us, let us go beyond the home, outside there. What is happening out there? And many times when they don't get the love nurturing at home, they search for it outside. And they develop personalities that I call onion skin personalities. All the impactors impacting them, giving them stress and everything. And the girls tell each other, I love that fellow, I want to marry him. A lot of talk goes around. So the question is, How do you know he's the right one for you? And yes, it goes back. You have to know who you are and what you want. But how can you know who you are and what you want if you were not nurtured to identify yourself? And when I ask many teenagers, I motivate and inspire and coach secondary school and university students for resiliency and success. And I coach the parents in raising resilient and successful children. So when I ask, who are you? A simple question like that. When I ask mothers, they say, oh, that is my little, what's your name, honey? Guida. Oh, that's Guida. She's my first one. Really? Do you know Guida as a parent? What else about her? Very often parents do not know their children. They know that they look pretty and they want the beautiful dress on them or they want the football boots. Do they know their sons? Who is this child? Who is this child? And that's where our daughters come in, because we don't find out who they are at all. They just look pretty. They have beautiful hair. They have to have the nice dresses. But who are they? That is a sad state of affairs, you know, when we really do not know. But I can't blame the parents either, because we have to look back to find strategies to educate our parents in this 21st century particularly, where science and technology now are determining how we nurture and how we parent, and we put them in front of the television. And social media is parenting them. And that's where they define themselves, boys or girls, and particularly girls. And they get onto the chat sequences, and they pick up men online. And then they are defined by those persons. I've always said to women, make sure you educate your girls and your boys to be new Adams. And I use the word Adam, right? It could be, give me a name, Huria, yeah? How do you raise your sons for this century? When so many things are happening, how do you raise your daughters to live in this 21st century? And it's not like before, where the home is well defined. A lot of the nurturing and education and self-development and self-awareness is coming from outside, where people are impacting them. So when we stand here as adults and we talk about finding a partner, and as a girl, I'm picking up a man who, just because I think he's physically beautiful, do you say beautiful? Handsome. So I am looking at his physicality, and I'm seeing the muscles. And I'm speaking particularly of Western cultures right now, okay? Because I don't know much about the Eastern ones right now. So you see his muscles. And yes, you may have an arranged marriage, but you see another boy out there that you love better. But you can't go there because of culture, because your role is defined already, that you marry him because the father and mother chose him for you. And sometimes you don't love him. And in our Western culture, we are pretty much more free to identify and select the one we want. Yes, I love him because he has beautiful eyes. But please, let us think about this seriously. It's all about the mindset. And the mindset is one of slavery, because we are developing it from youth, where, because we are not nurtured properly, we have all these blockages and stress and everything. And we allow others to define who we are, put us in comfort zones, right? Because we do not know ourselves. So if Peggy says, I like that girl because she's popular, So you take that because you're a popular girl in the eyes of the others. But are you? Who are you? So you're taking what they say about you without knowing yourself. And it's the same thing as how we choose partners. The mindset of lack, the mindset in which we settle for less than the best because we don't know who we are. And in the Western cultures, we are more free to choose. And as that lady said before, you do not have to settle. You have to begin to ask yourself, well, I want a man, but who is he that I'm looking for? Am I going to take a man like my father if he was an abuser? You're conscious enough to know what to select. I'm not going to select a man because he's a drunk. My father was a drunk. You know what he did. Okay? So who am I going to select? And that's where your journaling begins. I want a man who is this. And that's what you go out to look for. Because he is the one that will make you happy. So the first question, who is the man that will make me happy? And give me peace and prosperity. And by the way, it has nothing to do at this moment about money, that he ought to be rich. Because success is all about the quality things of life. He must be a man who wants to stay with you and love you. And he cannot love you if he hasn't learned to love from the nurturing stage. He will abuse you. He will play. Okay? Does that, thank you. But does that mean you want to be rid of me already? I just have one thing to say.
It's such a serious topic.
Yes.
We are tired.
Yes.
When I will be doing next, there should be some break. So
Yes. And that is what I know. That's why I'm not doing my PowerPoint. I'm speaking freely. And I hope it resonates with you. Because how many persons have children at home? Wow. So you are going to be girls and boys? Both. So you, from tonight, you're going to raise resilient children. And you're going to become a parent who responds rather than react. Responds means you take a little time and you analyze the situation. It's like if he pulls the milk cart down and it spills. Maybe he was trying to reach, but it knocks it over. Why did you do that? That's a reaction. Take a moment. You may not do it. But many parents are living pained lives, full of stress and strain and worry. And they bring that to the fore. And that's why they react in an instant, in a moment, rather than stepping back and think for a moment. I've always said, take a few seconds. Think about it. And then say, Johnny, I'm so sorry that you spilled that. What happened? There's a difference. So you're taking home reaction? No. Response? Yes. Okay, and I could go on. You can come to my parent empowerment coaching and strategic training. Okay, we'll tell you more about that another time. But please, beautiful people, we are all as parents responsible for how our children progress and fare in life. Women, do not be afraid. Be bold, be brave, be fearless. Fly like an eagle, not like a caged bird. But you can only do that when you begin to know who you are. And it doesn't take a university degree. As Huria said, she began to think about who she is. And when adversities happen, that's when you find your greatest strength. And ask yourself the question, why is this happening to me? What did I do? Let me think. How can I come out of this? Because nobody's going to come and help you, you know that? They don't have time. Unless you get a transformational coach. But Yes, please, as UN women, this is powerful that I'm offered a platform to help other women thrive and prosper and raise resilient children with their spouses. I will end it here for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Now I'll be talking in 2 minutes. So I'm hopeful that we shared some value, we learned, and we were able to open our mind and can look at things from a different perspective. It was a small effort from my side, and this is some pains were inside me that I want to just share and open up, and I want to learn different perspective on the same situations. Thank you very much. And I know this kind of event, like people like to go more towards, like if there's some music program is going on, it's very hard to attract people towards something like awareness kind of event is going on. But anyways, like I did my effort and I did my part, and if even one single person got some light, got some clarity, and find some answer, that was the purpose for me, and I will be feeling that I'm the winner.
I just would like to recognize her for her bravery in telling her story. It takes a few women to want to do that. And I think we should congratulate her. The reason we're here is that she wrote her story for others to get the courage to do what they ought to do as well in order to find the healing that they need. So please give her a well-rounded applause for who she is. Huria! Huria! Huria!
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the love. There are my books, and have a look to that. If somebody want to buy, it's just for $10, any of them. The insurance one, I spent 3 years to write it all, what I learned from the insurance industry from 10 years, how to get insured right. If you want to buy something or something, some plan, life, health, critical, just choose the page, read the topic, and you will learn, you will know like what exactly you have to choose and how and what you need. Because I've been to this industry from 10 years, and there are so many myths, people don't have any like knowledge about that, how to do that right. So that was my motivation to do all that information in small book. So you can just select the chapter and the topic, and you know like what travel insurance need or whichever you need. So this is all in that book, travel life and health insurance book, Price for Peace, because insuring right is not about money, it's about the love, integrity you have for you and your family. And the other book is She Power, the story I shared. The third book is Phenomenal Woman, that is under process, still not came out. But that, if you want to see, there is some content about that as well on the table. So have a look, and there are some pens, and there's my phone number on that too. You have that pen, there is my number. If you have any information you need related to insurance or anything, I can be helpful. I'll be happy to. And you can text me, you can call me. And I will wrap up by saying, by empowering women, meaning is to have those women that can walk, run, and fly with man and without man. And we need that kind of women. That is the women empowerment.
Have you noticed her humility? She didn't even promote her book for the entire time. So everybody needs to buy a copy. I will be our mouthpiece. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I was talking with my coach. I was talking with my coach yesterday, and I told her I'm doing this event tomorrow, and she said, what's your target to sell your books? She said, tell me the number of books you will be selling. And I said, this is not the event where I want to sell and position myself. I have different intentions. She said, no, like you are having loyal self-esteem and blah, blah, but I didn't get a chance. But anyways, it's $20, but right here it's $10 if you like to have a copy, or you can have it. And there is a shirt as well I have printed for She Power Move. If you want one shirt, let me know. It's $15. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Before we go, I want to have a group picture. A lot of people already have gone. So let's have a group picture. And you want to share something, Kaisar? Come here. Come. No, the person there. He's been so quiet and looking at the things. You want to share something? Please stay tonight. Okay, so ask them to come inside. Just say everybody's letting you know what they're doing.
Do we have a card? I have my cards, but I will. I will find something.
Hello, can I say something?
You don't need permission, give notices.
Hello. You know, the first time speaking in front of so much people, and Huria, she's my partner in the company. So I met Huria. I'm looking for a sales lady to grow my company like on commission basis. She come to we met in the coffee shop, right? I called her, and then we met her. She came 15 minutes late, right? I remember. We talk about this when I offer her that 10% commission for the sale, you got it, and you take it. And I say, okay, let me think about it. In the meantime, I've told her that I'm a realtor too. If you need any help, we can help each other. So 2 days after I call her, I say, Huria, what do you think about my offer? She said, are you a realtor? I said, yes, I told you. Can you help me out? For what? Oh, I have a problem with the tenant, right? A lot of problem with the tenants going on. Then there's the issue with the man. Okay, I'll help you out. So I help her out. She come out from the tenant thing, everything, right? Then I start watching closely. I was watching actually what is meant for. Then she's doing an insurance thing too, right? The way she talks to people and the way she admires me. Then after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right, we chatting each other, right, I offer her my company as a partner with no string attached. I'm very optimistic now, 2019, the company is growing. Because her acumen in marketing is highly commendable. And now you're talking about the woman awareness. What do you call woman empower? That's empower, you help each other. We're not here to help in divorcing. I know some people, right, women get divorced, maybe husband died, and nobody helped her. You need to spread this word, help each other. Help each other. And my dad, how I learned from? I learned from my mom. Mom, I love my mom, right? She passed away 14 years ago. And when the time of marriage, in the night, I didn't tell you, and I'm telling people because I'm able to speak now. Dad come to me. Hey son, your life is starting now, it's a new life. I say yes. So give respect to your wife as I do with your mom. He told me. And my mom passed away. Then dad came back in Canada to visit me. My dad, listen, my wife is so busy, she's working alone. Yeah, son, I know that. So I hired a cook for you. It's my responsibility. So I hired a cook for her, for my dad, cooking the food. Now coming, the cleaning, everything, she's busy. I hired a maid for her. Yeah.
You speak so fast sometimes, it's for me, but I don't understand.
Yeah, but when we hired maid for him, and one time I came back home like 8 o'clock, and my dad said, do you see your wife is so tired? Yeah, she's tired. Go, make her tea. That's my dad. Nobody can tell you, right? This is the one with family background. When he tells her story, I'm so surprised. Because the one I came from, always give respect to women. And my dad treat my mom like a queen. I know in later 50s, she was learning driving. I keep changing, Mom, you can't learn driving this age. No. Listen, son, you accept the challenge, I'll learn the license. She learned the driving. Next day, he told my dad, buy a new car. And dad got a new car. That's we are. So, in my view, we help women in any scenario. We're not here to help for divorcing or it's a bad thing, right? Or we need to help come out and help her, just like her. Just like Huria, right? She is going to a lot of problem with the tenants. Where did she go? We need help out. That's what I have to say. And I'm lucky she's my partner now. And I'm very optimistic now. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's have some group pictures and cherish the time we have spent together today's evening. And let's have some fun. And if you want to ask one-to-one question from anyone, this is the time.
Great speaker today. But I just want to congratulate Huria because I have seen her like 3 years. She's struggling for going through a lots of stress, lots of problem like a roller coaster, and good time, bad time every day. But always I have seen her. She is very courageous and very positive lady, and never give up. And even sometimes I like her, she's like my sister. Even sometimes I am going through something and I'm taking her like an example, and she's very courageous all the time, very motivative, and helping other people's. And even I have seen 3 years ago's journey. She had done a lot of hard work, a lot of courage to just create that kind of atmosphere. Now you guys are enjoying. And thank you so much, Huria. Thank you for inviting us. Congratulations to you for your career life.
Thank you very much for. Let's come here. Come up front. Ishmael, you want to sing some song?
Oh, I am good.
Please sing a song. No. Like, please come up. Let's get some pictures together before we leave.
Picture. Thank you. Please. Picture, please. Yeah, see? I asked Nancy, you coming? Picture, 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 picture. Oh, picture. Get out of here. Picture. Oh, Mom. Picture this way. Okay, guys, picture for us, please. Be so kind. Picture, picture. Oh, I see the light. I see. She's listening. I'm not pushing more. Picture, picture. No, picture. Okay, guys, picture for us, please. Enough. And she should be your sister. Go make a picture. What are you standing here for? Very good. I'm not going to force you to do the picture. Okay. Morris. Oh my God. Why is she like this? No, this is aggressive. You don't want to give me white. You're white. Give it ready. Sit on something. You're ready. Really want to sit. She's the queen of tonight, right? Oh, yes. I am to see good year. I don't know you sit here. Hey, how are you? Young girl is beautiful. What's it going to be? Is it ready? Take a seat. You want to sit?
1, 2.
Okay, everybody, eyes on camera here. I can't see you there at the back. Can you move on this? You need to come on your toes like this. Aslan, you need to.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Yeah? Were they excited? Were they excited? I see somebody will smile tomorrow. Oh my God.
Throw the ground.
You're ready. You're ready.
Why you guys are not in the picture?
Okay, here. Ready?
Yep.
Come. Why? Why are you scared of the picture? I want to sit right here. You've got the beautiful hair, man.
Yes.
I like that. Hey, take a professional one.
Yes.
Few phones left.
Oh, fabulous. Yes.